So we just watched a brand new 2025 film called Bloody Axe Wound. Technically it's 2024, but it wasn't really available to us. I think it got like a limited release or something in late 2024, but it just became available for VOD, and it did say Shudder at the beginning.
Yeah, it
So
did.
this is going to be a Shudder film at some point this year. So this will definitely be a 2025 film for everybody who wasn't fortunate enough to see it in like a theater or something a couple of weeks ago, but it is available to rent on VOD currently. That I do know. So the reason that I even heard about this is because we've been watching Dexter Original Sin, which we've been loving.
Yes, we have.
And one of the main reasons we're loving it is because of the perfect casting of Deborah Morgan, right? Jennifer Carpenter played her in the original, and created such an iconic character that has such a specific feel to her, and I just never thought that anyone
Would be able
could
to
duplicate it.
yeah.
And I was wrong, because this actress has been able to, like, perfectly.
She does
It
a
feels
fantastic job.
like a teenage Deborah Morgan, even looks like her.
Yeah.
So just incredible casting there. And when I saw that she was one of the stars of this, I was like, oh, sign me up. And I also saw Jeffrey Dean Morgan was in this, like, credited in this. He is technically in this movie, but
it's more of a
cameo.
It's
a cameo
of
cameos, for sure. He might be in this for 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But what this movie's about, this is kind of a tough premise. This is one of those premises that would be a very tough sell in like an elevator pitch, because this is like, it kind of reminds me of something like Final Girls.
Yes, it has that type of a vibe.
So it's a meta horror comedy about this town where there's slashers who live in town and kill people, and we're following a girl whose dad is like the main slasher in town, and he runs a video store where he sells, or well, I guess rents his movies and other slasher movies and other movies in general, but they make most of their profit off of their movies. And so he goes around and like makes his movies. Now, this is where I think the film needs not be questioned. You can't overthink this movie, because when I saw this premise of like, we're seeing a town filled with slashers, and the slashers, while they're killing, a movie is being filmed and then being rented to people. This premise makes no sense under any scrutiny, because like, number one, when they're doing the killing, there's no camera crew around. There's nothing there. So how they're capturing the footage is beyond me. But also, like, who's renting these videos when it's the people in town that are getting killed, and the people in town care about the people who are getting killed? Because that's another part of the movie, is that we're dealing with some of the characters who are like obviously very depressed and bummed out and grieving the death of their friends. But there's also people who are renting these tapes in town, but they also can't figure out who the killers are. None of it makes any sense. But what'd you think?
I thought it was a really entertaining movie.
Yeah.
I liked it. I'm always typically a fan of like meta horror in general, and I think that like the slasher subgenre obviously very famously has Scream, to thank for that meta-ness, but I think this is a really fun movie in general. I liked all the characters, like the performances from everybody. I think it has a really great soundtrack. There's some really cool songs in here. And there's some really gnarly kills too, like aftermaths of kills.
Yeah, mostly aftermath.
It was cool though. I wasn't expecting it, and there's, I think, maybe a couple that we were kind of like, I don't understand how that works logistically for the kill, but it still looks really good afterwards.
Yeah, somebody takes an axe to the back of the head, and then the aftermath is their whole front of their face is like imploded,
it
and
looks
it's like
great, but
that.
you're like, wait,
That's not where the axe hit
how
him.
does that work?
That doesn't work.
And yeah, I just think it has a really fun vibe to it. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It also kind of is like got some cool commentary about like, you know, how we watch all these slasher movies for the regular people being killed, and we tend to root for the slasher most of the time. And you know, it kind of has some commentary about that, like if this was happening in real life, kind of a thing, you know, like real people. It's never entertaining or fun when real people are dying.
Yeah, sure.
But I think it's an interesting universe too, like the way things are sort of handled with the filming and all of that. Even though it doesn't make a lot of sense if you like really think about it, as you said, I still think it's a cool like just premise.
It's a cool concept that I don't think was, meticulously thought out or anything. I think that you could have done this in a way, because if you look at a movie like The Rise of Leslie Vernon, Behind the Mask, he has a camera crew there with them, and they're documenting him being like a Jason or a Freddy. Um, but I, he exists within the world, like not as a film star like Freddy would be. It's that he has a camera crew with him filming him as if like Jason was to bring it around, but not with a Friday the 13th movie existing within the same world. It's
Yeah.
just that he's like a Jason who's having a camera crew film him killing people, but not for the intention of making a film,
Yeah.
but making a documentary. So that works and makes sense in universe, but this movie never even attempts to try to make it make sense. And I don't think it matters exactly.
Yeah.
I just think I mostly mention it, number one, because why not? But number two is because I think some people will be rubbed the wrong way for that,
Yeah.
because we get a lot of comments like that throughout the years of like, this didn't make sense. How could this happen if this happens? And they really let that get to them,
Oh, sure.
and they
I've
don't find
definitely
enjoyment in the movie
Yeah,
because of it.
I've definitely had movies that are brought down because something doesn't make sense to me.
I get
So I
that.
totally
But with a
understand.
film like this, it's kind of, I don't know.
I think with this type of a movie, it's unnecessary for that to make sense because that is like a gimmick, but
Yeah.
there's like it's more about the meta quality of like being in a slasher in general,
Yeah.
not necessarily about the like filming itself. So I think you just have to suspend disbelief that like that's the universe we live in,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to question anything in this movie. I think what makes this movie work is its characters.
Yeah.
You have your main character who, her dad is a killer, and she wants to be a killer. And she's trying to get her dad to let her be like uh, the next in line,
Yeah, the air.
the heir apparent, and he doesn't want that to happen. But then something happens where she has to, and then she starts hanging out with the people she's supposed to kill,
Yeah.
and she doesn't want to, and that creates problems. And I thought that this had a really cute romance in it
Yeah,
that
it
I really
does.
liked.
Mhm.
I really did enjoy both our main characters and
Mhm.
even some of the side characters, but our two main characters, one being the actress that plays Deborah and Dexter,
Yeah.
very, very, uh, you know, very relatable, very,
Mm.
very charismatic. And you are rooting for the people, and you're like, no, don't kill him,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
so you're rooting against the slasher
Yes.
in this one, which is cool, because a lot of slashers that you watch, you are just like, let's get to the body count. Let's
Yes,
kill off
definitely.
these idiots. But with this one, it actually flips it, where she's supposed to be doing the killing. And you're on the other side of the screen being like, no, don't do it.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
are really cool people and you really like them. So you are rooting against the slasher in a slasher movie,
Yeah.
which is a rare thing.
Well, yeah, it just really shows that like the slasher subgenre only works when the killer is separated from the victims. Like you can't have the killer be so relatable because otherwise it becomes like if you can relate to the killer and see them as human, like humanize them, then it's like, well, you don't want them to kill the other people because you don't really want to see humans killing other humans, if that makes sense. Whereas when they're kept as like a monster, so to speak, like even I get that they're like there are slashers that are like actually human, but I'm meaning it more like metaphorically, like we make them like these like ideals of evil.
I think it more comes down to you don't want them to make connections with their victims, right? To humanize them, like if you take the movie Maniac, we humanize our killer in both the remake and the original because we show his background, we show his mom. Any slasher film where you follow the killer for the most part, you're going to humanize them and you're going to get to know them. And yes, it does take away from it somewhat because you're like, oh man, it makes it feel more impactful, the deaths and the killing.
Yeah.
But when they like them, because like even in Maniac, when he like falls in love with that girl, you start to go like, no man, don't kill her.
Right.
So it's really more of the killer's attachment to their victims.
Yeah.
And if they do care for them, then you start to be like, dude, you can't do it now.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're supposed to just be a killing machine who doesn't care about anything. Right. Like Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees.
Sure.
They don't care about anybody.
No, they're just like kind of, yeah.
And if Michael was like, you know, in love.
Oh, sure. You'd
with
be like,
Laurie
don't
Strode,
do
you'd
it.
be like, Michael, don't.
Yeah.
You love her.
Yeah. Maybe that's a better way to like phrase it then is like, it's more about, I guess, the connection versus the humanizing aspect.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is definitely like an interesting film that explores that, I think.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so it's a fun watch. No nudity for a slasher.
No nudity
so
at all.
you keep thinking it's going to happen because they set up a couple things where girls are like in the shower or about to have a sex scene or something. You're like, all right, here comes the slasher tropes. So for any slasher fan looking for that part of it, that does not happen. But you do get some good kills.
Yeah, the kills are good, and the situations are all very slasher tropey.
Yeah. So it's a recommendation for sure for people who like meta, like teen high school comedy mixed with a meta slasher and a cute little queer romance. It's a fun time.
Yeah.
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 You should check it out.
I didn't love it, but I quite enjoyed it.
I liked it.
Yeah.
I had a good time with it.
Okay. So let us know when you watch it, and we'll see you in the comments.
Bye.